Good morning. Lovely to see you. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. It might be nighttime wherever you are. It might be afternoon, evening. Who knows? But it's lovely to see you here in this kind of magical little space that we have. I was thinking about my cats. I woke up this morning thinking about my cats that I had throughout my life. I know I've been sort of focusing on dogs, and I had a dog more recently with Cosmos, and I'm about to get a puppy. But all through my life growing up, we had dogs. I mean, not dogs, cats. What am I talking about? We had cats. We did have one dog when I was in Sri Lanka, when I was in Ceylon, which was a little sort of sausage dog. But I think there was something wrong with it. I think its head carried on growing and its body didn't. And I think there was something sort of malformed about it, which was really sad. So I never really can't really remember that dog. I think we probably had it when I was very, very young. But we always had cats when we came back to the UK. So we had our first cat when my parents bought their first house in England, and it was a cat called Simbi, and we rescued the cat from these owners that lived in the local town, and the cat was already called Simbi, and the really weird thing is that the house name was Simba, which means lion in Swahili. So it was really odd. And I think that the cat was called Simbi because she looked like a lion. She was a real tabby. She had lovely golden sort of dark chocolate stripes and those lovely tabby markings. And she was absolutely gorgeous. But I think that the owners, obviously they didn't want her. So I'm not sure why. I do know that she used to dribble. We used to call her Dribbles quite a lot because she used to dribble. As soon as she came on your lap, she'd started clawing you like that, and then all this stuff would start sort of like literally running out like just liquid water. But I thought it was quite sweet. She was really sweet. And I used to lie often on my front watching telly in the sort of family room, and she used to always lie on my bum and my back, and she was really cute. I have to dig up some pictures actually. I don't know where they are. They're probably in photograph albums of my mother's somewhere here in the house actually, stored away. So I'll have to try and dig them out. But Simbi, she was a cutie. And Mum had her after we left, so she must have, I think she was 20 something, 24 or 22 or something when she died. So Mum had her for years and years and years after we all left home and everything. So she was a really sweet cat. When I left home, when my ex-husband and I got our first house, we had a rescue cat. Well, no, when we were in our first flat, actually, we rescued my dad's cat. My dad lived in Jersey and he had a cat, a British blue cat called Plato. And my dad wasn't the most patient of people, and the cat kept peeing everywhere, and I think the cat was pretty traumatised, really. So we drove over and we picked up the cat and we brought Plato back to London. And we had Plato, who was the most beautiful animal I think I've ever seen. He was absolutely gorgeous. He used to lie on the carpet. We had these kind of like rugs, Persian rug and things. And he used to lie on the carpet and it looked like a painting in the light, in the sunlight. Oh, he was absolutely beautiful. And when he looked at you with his kind of gold eyes that just shone up, big, lovely, round face, he was the most beautiful, fluffiest, gorgeous thing. But he was a real wimp. He never peed with us. He was always clean and really happy with us. I think my dad was sort of a bit shouty and a bit loud and unpredictable, but we were very calm, and he was a very calm and lovely cat. And sadly, he used to keep getting in these kind of scraps and little fights, but he was picked on, I think. He was bullied by the big sort of London cats. And he used to always get, because he was quite a thoroughbred, he used to get terrible infections and abscesses, and it was just really nasty. And then the poor thing ended up getting some sort of cancer, and he died. He was only about 4 when he died, and it was so sad. In fact, I've still got his ashes in the box in the living room, weirdly. I can't seem to let go of him. He was the most gorgeous, gorgeous cat. Absolutely loved him. And then we moved to a house, and then we we rescued another cat when we were in the flat. It was a chocolatey black cat with really long fur, and we called that cat Otto. And he was, again, gorgeous, green eyes, very long, very, very chocolatey. And in the light it was chocolate, and in the dark it was black. And he had this sort of fantastic fur. When we got him, he was a rescue, and he was completely matted up. You couldn't comb him or anything. He was so sad. He was just this big mat, and it was awful. And we had to take him to the vets and not have it surgically removed, but we had to have it done. We had to have him completely shaved at the vets. And so he came back looking like this little drowned rat. And poor little thing, he was really in a bad way. So we got him sorted, we got him sort of, wormed and all of the things you have to do when you rescue an animal. And he grew into this magnificent looking, spectacular specimen with this beautiful fur. He was absolutely gorgeous. And then we got another cat as well called Oscar. And Oscar was a long-haired tabby cat. So that was another rescue. So we rescued those two. They were not kittens. We've never had kittens actually. But yeah, we rescued those two as proper cats. So I don't really know how old they were. They must have been quite young, but they were really beautiful, the pair of them. One day, Otto never came home. We were still living in London, and he was very beautiful. He used to sit on the wall outside our house and just watch people go by. There was a park at the end of our road and the river, and he used to sit on this low wall in the sunshine and just wait to be petted by everybody that walked past, and just used to sit there sprawled out and just love it. He was really feral when we got him, but he turned into a really friendly, super friendly sort of petting cat, really. He loved it. One day he completely disappeared. I don't know whether he got stolen. At that time, cats were getting stolen. Lots of animals were getting stolen in London. This was probably the early 90s. Or whether something awful happened to him. We never found him. And he had a collar and everything, but no, we never found him, and nobody ever reported him. So we put missing things up everywhere. It was awful. It was really sad and really, really heartbroken. And he was such a lovely, lovely boy. And then Oscar had a transatlantic adventure. Oscar ended up going all the way to New York, and we went and picked him up from JFK in his box, and we brought him back to our house in Westchester. We were in Bronxville at the time, and he lived with us there, and he was a really happy cat, and he was a really sweet cat, and he was lovely, a real fluff ball. And then I had my eldest son, who's actually out in the garden at the moment doing some gardening, and he's 27, so this is going back quite a long time, and he had terrible asthma, and it was really scary, and he kept having to go into hospital with his asthma, and we didn't know what to do with the cat. We found out that he was the cat was the trigger, the long, very long, thin fur was the trigger. And we didn't know what to do. So we asked all our friends. Lots of our friends were expats and people in New York. Does anybody want this cat? No. So I was at the vets with the cat, and I just said to the vets, I just don't know what to do. I'm really, really don't know what to do about this, but we can't keep the cat. And nobody wants it, because it was probably by that stage, it was probably about 6 or 7 or something. And everybody wants a kitten, really. And the vets were amazing. They said, well, we'll take him. He's so gorgeous. We'll take him. And so Oscar became the vet's cat. And I used to go and visit him with Ollie B, because Ollie B obviously was really upset. He didn't know what had happened to the cat. We told him the cat had gone on holiday to Mars, where it was made of, or actually no, to the moon, where it was made of cheese, and all the mice were up there. So the cat had the cheese and the mice, and it was really happy. And that's what we told him when he was about 2. But then we told him that the cat was living at the vet's because he couldn't stay at home with us anymore. So we used to take him sometimes to the vet's to visit him, so he could just say hello, but not get too close. And the cat used to just lie. He used to lie on the desk of the reception and stuff. So everybody loved him. So he became the vet's cat. So I was hugely relieved about that, because, I mean, what do you do when you can't have an animal and you have a child who has that kind of allergic reaction? It's an absolute nightmare. So you can understand why there are lots of rescue animals, because sometimes you just can't. You have no choice. So I was really, really upset about that. But it was lovely that he had this great life, and he was really happy at the vets. And I would have, he might even, no, he wouldn't still be alive, but yeah, I think he must have had a very good time there. He would have been spoiled rotten. So that was my experience of cats. And then I later realised that, this is really strange. After all these years of having cats, I can actually breathe properly, and this is when my son, we had to get rid of Oscar. And I thought, this is strange, I can breathe properly. I don't have this tickly cough at the back of my throat the whole time, and my eyes aren't scratchy and itchy and watering. And obviously realised that I was allergic to cats too. My dad went on to get a couple more cats, not Oscar and Otto, that's our cats, Bertie and Biggles, two little cats, and then they died, and they were about 20, and then he's now got Polly, who another long-haired cat. So it's a bit of a nightmare with the children when we go and visit. But as Ollie B's got older now, he's my eldest son. He's kind of grown out of it a bit, so that's quite good. So that's my history of cats. So I love cats. I always wanted to have cats, but I can't really have cats because both my other children are allergic too. And so cats are a no-no, sadly. Otherwise, I'd have had a cat here like a shot. I mean, this would be an amazing place for cats. And the cat would keep the rats at bay as well, and the mice, which would be an even added bonus. Would be fantastic. But yeah, so that's my history of cats, and I do love them, and I do love other people's cats as well. I mean, I love cats. They're so sweet, but they can be quite aloof. And I think that when you've had cats, like I did all my life, and then moved on to a dog, it was a completely different story. Dogs just absolutely love you unconditionally. They are just all over you. You know, those of you who have dogs will know that as soon as you walk in the door, they're on you, they're licking you, they're kissing you, they're hugging you, they're up and wanting cuddles and all of that. When I used to come home, when the cats were at home, they'd just be lying in the sun or wherever they were. They wouldn't really be interested until it was time for their food. So, and then they might come and have a little stroke and a cuddle and purr and, rub themselves up and down against your leg and all of that, curling around your feet, which is always really sweet. Anyway, have you got cats? Are you a cat or a dog person? I know lots of you have already told me this, but yeah, I did love my cats, and I do miss them. And when I think about them, they're all so handsome, and we didn't have any girl cats. We always had boy cats. Oh no, Simbi was a girl cat, but the others were boy cats, and they were so gorgeous. They really were. Anyway, have a fabulous day. Hope you have a good time today. Lots and lots of love. I'm going to go outside later and do some shoot a little video outside because it's so gorgeous out there. But as I said, my son is doing some heavy work, moving some stuff around, putting compost and things on everything, cutting back the flowers and the roses, getting ready for the next, hopefully another batch of flowers, I'm hoping, giving everything a bit of a feed. So that's all exciting stuff. So here we go. Watch this space. Lots of love. Bye-bye.